So welcome all to the NC State School of Social Work MSW information session. As we've been doing, we're doing introductions in the chat because there are so many of you. But we are super excited to have you here. Glad that you've joined us and want to learn more about the MSW program at NC State. So I'm going to kick it off just by going over what our mission is as a School of Social Work. It's to prepare students for practice that addresses social, economic, cultural, demographic, and political changes that affect all the levels, individuals, families, groups, communities, and organizations. And this is done through teaching, advising, research, and scholarship. And we emphasize professional ethics, social justice, diversity, and community engagement. So next I want to talk to you about why should you consider NC State and why should we be your top choice? One of the things that NC State School of Social Work and the MSW program offers is that we have flexible program options. We are a traditional face-to-face program. We are not 100% online. However, we have many online classes and we have many night classes. So it's very much an option for you to take a good mix of some online and some in-person daytime and some in-person nighttime classes. And there are a lot of options, a lot of different sections. And so you'll have some flexibility to kind of design the program the way it works for you. You should also be aware that we're the #2 MSW program in the state of North Carolina, and we're in the top 100 of MSW programs across the country. There are a lot of programs, a lot of MSW programs in North Carolina, and there are a lot of MSW programs across the country. And so we are one of the top ranked ones. One of the things that we have that makes us unique and you don't find everywhere is that we have and always have had a very diverse faculty and staff. There's a lot of diversity in terms of age, ability, ethnicity, race, sexual orientation among our faculty and staff. And we're very interested in your education and your professional development, and you should be able to find folks who identify with your identity labels as well. And I also like to always point out that the NC State MSW program has long been known for its commitment to an excellence in advancing anti-racism, diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is something that schools of social work say that they believe in, and many programs have really gotten on board with it of late. But since its foundation and its start, the NC State MSW program has been known for not just talking the talk, but walking the walk when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So our program is what is called an advanced generalist. If you're in social work, you may have heard this term before. So that means that you become an advanced practitioner at all levels of intervention. So we don't focus you in on one thing. We do all of it so that you're prepared to go in any direction in your career after graduation. And this includes direct practice, that includes assessment, intervention, and evaluation with clients and different client levels. It includes advocacy, organizing, lobby, and policy analysis, accessing resources and networking, collaboration and community development, supervision and administration, program development, and research. So if you're thinking about eventually getting your PhD, you'll get a strong foundation to prepare you for that. So we have two different program offerings. One's called Advanced Standing, and that's a 1-year full-time course of study with classes in the summer, fall, and spring. So one full year designed for students with a BSW from a CSWE accredited college or university. So only students that have a BSW can qualify for Advanced Standing. If your major is in something other than social work, that's fine. You qualify for the traditional program. And that's a 2-year full-time study with classes taught in the fall and spring. And this is for students with, as I said, a major from any accredited college or university in any major. We also offer various license and certificates and specializations that you can choose to pursue based on your own interest. And here we have our fabulous faculty that coordinate each of these pathways. So we have a child welfare collaborative education. And if you have interest in going into child welfare, working for a Department of Social Services, you will need to select the Child Welfare Collaborative Education Collaborative with Professor Crystal Campbell. Professor Garino leads those that are interested in getting their LCSW, LCSWA, to go in the clinical route and pursuing that after graduation. We have a licensed clinical addiction specialization, and that is led by Dr. Fitzpatrick. And then we also offer school social work certification by Professor Johnson. So if you are wanting to apply and you're thinking that you qualify for the traditional program, here are more of the details of exactly what you need to qualify for the program. Like I said, a bachelor's degree from an accredited university. We want a cumulative GPA of 3.0. So cumulative, not in your major, but overall. You have to have some coursework in the social sciences and humanities, and there are some requirements, which include biology and a stats class. So you have to have had a C- at least in stats and a C- at least in biology. And there are equivalents for that stats class at NC State, but you can always reach out if you want to see if your university biology or stats equivalencies will count. We also require 3 references, and we want 2 professional or volunteer and 1 academic. If you have already graduated and you are a BSW, we would really like for one of those to be from someone connected to your practicum internship experience. But for most of you who have not already graduated or are not in social work, it's fine if that you get 2 professional and 1 academic. And then variety of life and work experience. So if you've volunteered, if you've held a job, anything connected to social work, and then also things that are not necessarily connected to social work. And then we have similar but different criteria for the advanced standing. So this is the one if you have your BSW. You have to have your BSW to be advanced standing. And this is the 1-year program. You have to have a cumulative GPA of 3.5. So we have higher expectations for our BSW students. We want grades of B or better in all of your social work courses. So if you don't meet these though, social work students, undergrads, let me tell you that if you are like, oh, I don't qualify for this, you can still apply, and you can apply to the traditional program, to the 2-year program. So we also want those prerequisites of biology and stats. And we also want those 3 references. And again, if you've already graduated, if there's one's from your practicum supervisor or director, that's great. If you haven't and you haven't done your practicum yet, then that's fine. Follow the same thing where there's, 2 professional and 1 from a faculty. So talking a little bit about practicum, students are always interested in that, right? This is your internship, and your practicum placement begins in the fall semester of your first year, regardless of which program you're in. If you're in the traditional or you're in the advanced standing, you start in the fall of your very first year. And so you're doing 24 hours a week, both of the years or the 1 year that you're in the program. The way this generally works in our program is that you're in classes Monday and Tuesdays, and then you are in your practicum Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday doing those 24 hours. And we have a practicum director, Dr. Francis, and there's her email if you have more questions or need more information on that. Now I'm going to let Dr. Bennett take over from here.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. As Dr. Aver said, my name is Dr. Anthony Bennett. I'm the program manager here in the School of Social Work. I actually work on both sides of the house, but within the MSW program, I have with the recruiting, admissions, also teach a class here in the MSW program. Before I get started, Jasmine, I see your question in the chat. Just hang on to that question at the end, and we'll be able to answer that question for you. If you all still have questions, continue to put those in the chat, and then just remind us at the very end, and we can go back and answer those questions so we don't have to stop the presentation in the middle of it to answer the questions. And we may actually answer that question during one of these questions as well, but just hang on to that question. All right, so how to apply to our program. You apply online. Our priority deadline is January the 3rd, 2025. That's usually the first Friday in January. If you apply by those deadlines, we can guarantee you that you will have your decision on February the 28th of 2025 for the advanced standing and the traditional program. I will say to you, we will not have that before February 28th. We will not have that after February 28th. And the reason why I make that statement is because if you're applying to other schools, sometimes their decision is before our decision is sent out, and we'll get plenty of emails from our students saying, can we know, can we know, can we know? Well, we give you those deadlines from the very beginning so you'll know. That gives our evaluators enough time between January 3rd and February 28th to really look at your packet. Because remember, we don't have interviews. So your packet is your best work to be able to present to you. So we want our evaluators to make sure that they have enough time to really dive deep into your application packet to make those decisions. So you can call and you can email, but you're going to get that answer. We will guarantee you that we will have it to you on February the 28th. All right, our tuition and fees for 2024-2025, our annual tuition and fees for NC State residents is $12,327. Our out-of-state residents are $33,100. With that, if you have some additional need some additional information about that, there's a website to look at financial aid and the cost of attendance with that. Now, those numbers are just for your tuition that's there. And obviously there's some other things for your living expenses, books, things of that sort. But that is just for your tuition and fees to attend the MSW here at NC State. Transfer equivalency, as Dr. Aver said earlier, we have some prerequisites that are required with our biology and our stats. This is the transfer equivalency page. If you go to this page here, you type in the school where you took your biology and stats course. It will tell you exactly what that will transfer in for our transfer equivalency. However, let me tell you, our transfer equivalency page is only good as the information that we get. So, for example, if you went to, and I'll throw a school out there, the Ohio State University. I'm not biased or anything, but if you went to there for some reason and there was a bio or stats class that you took there, and we never had that course evaluated, it will not be in this transfer equivalency site. So, what you'll need to do is email myself or Dr. Averett. I will say email me. And I will send that out to our biology and stats department, have them evaluate that, and then we will be able to tell you if that is an equivalency course. Typically, I would say give us about, I'm going to be generous, about 72 hours for a turnaround, because once I get that, I will send it over to the department. It depends on what they have going on in their department when they can evaluate it and get it back to us. It's usually a quick turnaround for us. It's really just depending on the time of the year that we will send that out for the transfer equivalency, but typically they get back to us within 72 hours. Special conditions. So a petition for exceptional conditions. This applies to applicants who don't meet the regular admission requirement to ask for an exception to waive. An applicant must show how the admissions requirement does not adequately represent their capabilities. This form is included in the departmental application. However, the petition cannot be used for missing a prerequisite. You have to meet the prerequisites in order to be admitted into our program. So, for example, let's say your GPA is below a 3.5 for our advanced standing or 3.0 for our advanced standing for our traditional program. There's a form in there that you can fill out to explain why your GPA does not meet the minimum requirements. Now, we know several students sometimes will get in different majors at the very beginning. Most of the time, science majors, engineering majors, things like that. And by good for us, and by default, probably for you, you fell into the social work major. You probably took a general elective class, or you were involved in some community services, you talked with someone, you got interest in that. Well, in those first year or 2 years, you were struggling in those science courses or those engineering courses, didn't do as well in those courses. Well, you have to be able to explain, once I found my way into my major that I'm in now, my GPA, the trajectory of my GPA started to rise. And be able to explain that. And then our evaluators will be able to look at that and say, oh, yeah, we can see in those first 2 years, you didn't find the place where you wanted to be. And now you found your niche and you started to take off in that particular degree. Additionally, if English is not your native language, you can take the TOEFL. Please contact our graduate school for additional information about the TOEFL. Scholarships, assistantships, and financial aid. What everyone wants to know about it. How can someone else pay for this for me? So we offer teaching and research assistance. These are very competitive paid opportunities, which our teaching and research assistants. You assist our professors in teaching and support or the research mission of the School of Social Work. If you apply to one of these and you're accepted to one of these, it pays for your tuition. It includes a stipend, and we also pay for your health insurance. So they are highly competitive. What I can tell you, last year, we received probably 250 applicants for this. And we had 9 slots that we filled. So they are highly competitive. I'm not telling you not to apply for it. Please apply for it, but just know they're highly competitive. School and professional scholarships. The School of Social Work has a limited number of scholarships available. You certainly can look on our website to be able to find those. And the last thing we have here is the Office of Scholarships and Financial Aid. I would say typically probably about 90 to 95% of our students are using financial aid to pay for their degree. And with that financial aid, because now you've reached that level of the professional degree, it's probably going to come through student loans. There's not those grants that are out there that some students were able to use in undergrads. For example, there's not Pell Grant recipients for your professional for a professional degree. All right, our graduate contacts. Obviously, there's Dr. Averett that's there. There's myself and Mr. Korn. These are all of our contact information. I would say, similar to Dr. Averett, I probably need to do the same thing. I need to take that phone number off, because I can promise you, if you call me on that number, I will not return that phone call probably until 2026. However, if you send me an email within 24 hours, I will be able to return your 24 to 48 hours, typically around 24 hours, I'll be able to return the message to you, because I'm always on my email throughout the course of the day. With Mr. Korn, you can email him or call him, and typically he's right on and be able to get back to you within 24 hours. And this is a few words from one of our former students that we like to kind of end the presentation on. And with that, I think we'll open it up for questions.
Actually, if I could jump in really quickly, I want to share something really quickly with everybody while I have you. A couple of things before we jump into question and answer. So you saw the priority deadline, right? And so that means that's kind of the first come, first serve, and you're committing and saying, I really want to go to NC State. You're my top choice. And so I'm applying to you first and foremost. And we really would like to see most of you apply sooner rather than later. We do have open enrolling admissions where you can apply past that. But just know that as slots are filled, then there's less options. It also means we have new student orientation May 14th. And so if you are not in the program by then, you will miss orientation and kind of be behind in knowing what's going on. We always have some students who apply kind of last minute because they changed their mind. They thought they weren't going to do the MSW. They should start something else. And then all of a sudden they're like, nope, wait, I really should have applied. I regret not applying. I'm going to apply now. And that's great. We still want you, but we just want you aware that that the earlier you can make the decision and apply, the better off you will be. I also want to share, there's several of you that are not here. And I wanted to, here in Raleigh, here in North Carolina even, and I wanted to share this, whoop, that's not it, this link. So you can see here, if you go to the NC State website and you go to the graduate school, if you're not close by, the graduate school has what's called the Visit NC State program. And this is where you can apply and get your travel funded to come to the NC State campus. You have to do an online application. It's due September 30th. And if you are selected, you'll have a schedule of events, which will also include coming to the School of Social Work and spending some time with us. And they will cover your travel expenses to come to the campus and explore the program with us.